Hey, welcome back. Certainly glad you could join us today. We'll start off by running the tools that we're going to be using at the bottom of the screen. Now this is one of my favorite projects, so let's get started. Oh wait, we can't do this for copyright reasons? Hello guys, this is the M&A project instruction video. Let's start off with what you will find in your kit. You will receive a VEX 775 Pro, a VEX Pro VersaPlanetary Gearbox, a bag full of stuff that we will be covering in a second, a bag full of spacers, and the two plates that will hold everything together. Now let's take a look at what's in the bag. There's an output shaft for the VersaPlanetary Gearbox with two screws which you don't want to lose. There's also a 4-to-1 gear, a ring gear, and two hex wrenches. There's also a third one which is super small and it's silver, so please don't let your dogs eat it. And the rest of the stuff in the bag we will go over later in the video. Open the white box and take out the motor. It should have a coupler, a plate, and a power adapter. Then open the black VersaPlanetary Gearbox and grab the output shaft from the bag we just looked through. Next, open the ring gear bag and insert the gear into the ring gear. This will require some turning of the gear in order to get it to fall into place. Next, you will place the bottom of the gear stage on the output shaft like so. Be sure to hold the top gear so it doesn't fall out. Now this is where it gets confusing. You will then add the spacer from the VersaPlanetary kit at the bottom of the gearbox using the screws included in the ring gear kit. You will want to make sure that you use the hole that is covered, not the one that is open. You will then connect the motor to the gearbox. Make sure that the cutouts on the spacer line up with the screws on the motor. You may need to wiggle the hex shaft to make the gears line up. You will then use the small black screws included in the VersaPlanetary kit to fasten the gearbox onto the motor. And now the VersaPlanetary Gearbox is done. Now let's move on to the custom gearbox. You should have a small spacer, a slightly larger one, another slightly larger one, and a big one that has a small hole on the top. You should also have a bushing, a bolt, a shaft collar, and a hex shaft, along with the two gears. You should have 4 churros with 8 bolts, 4 big and 4 small. And finally, you should have 2 polycarbonate plates. You will then take the 4 long bolts and the 4 churros and start to screw them into the plate. Make sure that your churros are on the right side of the plate. Since this churro is short, the tap, which is the thing that allows a screw to screw into the churro, will be longer on one side of the churro. This means that the screw might get stuck, so make sure if the screw gets stuck to take it out and try the other side. If you force the screw through, it'll ruin the churro. Next, you will want to use the 2 black screws that were screwed into the output shaft to secure the motor to the plate. Make sure to screw into the open hole so that it does not collide with the screw holding the VersaPlanetary Gearbox together. Now it is time to put the spacers and gears on. We will start with the motor shaft. You should put the 3rd biggest spacer on first, then the gear, then the biggest spacer. Once you have put them on, you will screw the bolt in to hold everything together. Next, you will put the bushing on the hex shaft, and then insert the hex shaft into the hole next to the motor. Then you will put the 2nd smallest spacer on, followed by the gear. Then you will put the smallest spacer on. Finally, you will place the plate with the bearing on the gearbox. Once this is done, you will screw in the churros. Beware that sometimes the churro won't line up with the hole in the plate. You will need to pull the churro over so that it aligns with the hole. Once the screws are in, you will put the shaft collar on. Make sure that it is close to the bearing. When tightening it, be very careful and do not tighten it too much or the bolt will strip. And now you are finished. Honestly, you can do whatever you want once you're finished. You want to make a 90s style music video? Go for it. But who would do that? No one has that kind of time, right?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me,